Welcome to the intro class of Tiger Blossom and Graeme. This is the first in a series of classes exploring therapeutic horticulture in tandem with Tiger Blossom. I'm Aiyana, the founder of Tiger Blossom, and this is Graeme. And in today's class, the important thing is that we have videos where we're talking about these really important ideas and the value that they are in our lives, but we don't like to just talk about these ideas, but actually to put them into practice. So that's where these classes that are going to be in these videos is to help you to actually start to do it, and that we are going to be doing and activating these things in our life, and it's really, really simple. So this is going to be a sample of a class that we'll be doing these in person as well, but these classes you will get enough where you can do it along with us today. So Graeme's going to be teaching, and I'm going to be learning and going in the student role along with all of you. So.
All right, great. So I'm going to be introducing therapeutic horticulture today, and if you have never heard of what that is, it is essentially just working with gardens, and as you're working with the gardens, there's many natural therapeutic benefits that come along with it. You could get more in depth and focus on horticultural therapy, which is where you have like design goals that you would like to meet, and you use gardening as a form, as a way to achieve that goal. And so I thought a great first intro class would be learning how to pot your own succulents. And so we have some succulents today. Got some fun little arrangement here that's a little overgrown, and then I have a little propagation that I did myself. The reason I really enjoy succulents is because they're really fun to propagate. You can really just like take a piece off of any of them and shove it into a new pot of soil. And a lot of times, if you give it the right amount of sunlight and some water, it will most likely grow and you'll be fine. So I'm going to be talking all about that today. We're going to go through the process of potting your own succulent. If you have just like a tiny pot at home and maybe some just succulents anywhere
Those
in
were
your garden.
purchased at Trader Joe's.
So these Trader Joe's pots are like really cheap. You can tell that this started off as a tiny little pot. It's very shallow still, and these are getting pretty overgrown, so I thought that'd be a great thing to use to repot them, so to give them a little bit more space in these bigger pots. And yeah, it's just cool because you start off with this one little, probably like $5 arrangement, and then all of a sudden you can start throwing it into new pots and creating your own succulent arrangements. So yeah, we're going to be learning how to do that today. I think potting with succulents is, like I said, it's one of the more simple tasks in gardening, and it's a great way to help you get started. It's the way that I got started. I remember one of my friends, I told him I was no good at gardening, and he said that we should start with some succulents. And so what he did was he ripped off a succulent just like this, shoved it into a pot of soil, and it was like really poor soil. I thought there was no way that soil was going to sustain any life. And all of a sudden I left it in the sun for a while, gave it water when it looked dry, and I pulled at it one day and it had like a very firm base in there, hadn't died. And so yeah, succulents are a great way to get started and just to kind of learn how plants work, and I'm going to be taking us through that experience too. And as you do this, it'll become easier and easier and become more therapeutic. I think at the very beginning it may be a little bit stressful for some of us, but failure is not a bad thing. It's just a learning experience.
Yes, and you never achieve anything without failure. So that's why it's really important in anything that you're not trying. If you don't fail, you're not trying. So continuing to, and that's part of the journey and the process of being able to go through that.
Yeah. And so while we do this potting experience, what I really like to focus on, and I encourage others to focus on, is just being present in the here and now. So maybe whatever works for you to be present in the here and now, just taking a deep breath maybe, or like putting your phone somewhere else, or whatever works for you, is the best way to do this, I think. So we can get started now. So I'm going to show us all the steps. Aiyana and I are going to do it together, and we are going to show you how to do it. So we both started off with two, I believe these are 4-inch pots. They're not too big. And so we'll start off with these. We already filled them with a tiny bit of soil just to kind of get the base going. So how you do that is you would just take some soil like this and plop it right in there until you get like a little bit of a base.
And didn't you say something happens when we touch soil?
So soil, yeah, every time you touch soil, there's this new concept called grounding you may have heard of. I feel like it's been like a really big thing lately. Grounding is basically just the therapeutic benefits you get by touching soil or living things. And so if you ever like go to the grass and like lay down on the grass, or you're touching soil, you're digging with soil, there's like a natural like feeling of comfort and safety that goes along with that. Okay. And so depending on how you want to pot your succulents, there's a few different ways you could do it. I was always taught the 3 rule, like the rule of 3s, and so I usually like to plant like 3 at a time and let it go from there. But you can do it however you like to do it. And so I have a plant here that has an established root system, and so roots are the parts underneath the soil. Underneath the soil, we have lots of roots living down there, and they are essential for all water production to the leaves. And so without those roots, if you don't have a good root system, then those leaves are not going to be able to transpire properly and cool the plant down. So for this one, I'm going to show us plants with roots. So we have 2 plants with roots on them.
I can take that up there too so you can see it.
Yeah, this one, wow, I'm surprised. This one came out in one big piece, which I'm very happy about. It means that there's a good root system going on in here. So as you can see, this is like the same shape as this, which means that the root system was strong enough for when I pulled it out to stay together. So the more roots you can hold on to, the better. Usually plants go into stress when you take them out of where they normally have been, but if you can maintain that root system, usually the plant will be pretty good. But like I said, succulents can handle a lot, so we'll learn more about that in a little bit. Okay, so I got my succulent into my pot here. I want it to be about like level. I want the soil level to be maybe a little bit underneath the pot rim, because if it's too high, then every time you water it, it's just going to be a mess. The water is going to go all over the place. So I may take a little bit out of my pot just so I can make sure it's a little lower. And I'm going to make this probably this plant right here is probably going to be like my base plant that I'm going to start with. Maybe I can put it towards the edge just so I have room for the other plants.
Take it out.
Cool. And so now we have all these other plants that we are going to work with today. I thought we could just take all of these out and repot them and then maybe use this for something new later. And so Aiyana has chosen some of the smaller plants that we also pulled from a different succulent garden.
And these have been just dry. These haven't even been in soil. And I was like, are those going to be okay if they're like hanging out for a day without any soil?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell them what you told me.
And so succulents are very resilient. They can, after we took these out of their pot, they can survive for a few days until they need to be repotted. Succulents are like kind of like cactus. I like to use that like analogy where the cactus use all the water they can and they basically put it in their leaves. Other plants don't really do that, but cactus and succulents, they usually can put water inside of their trunks and their leaves and all the other parts of it. And that's because they usually go without water for a very long period of time, so they have adapted to be able to hold on to water for long periods of time. So even though this plant doesn't have a root system, it still has all of this water inside of the leaves, and so that's how it can survive. Is that one? Okay. And so we have our little arrangement here. Definitely looks overgrown. So let's clean this up and maybe make some new ones. Would you like to pick the first?
Sure.
So I always like to start, Aiyana does this really well, but I always like to start with like your favorite plant first, and then maybe put like your favorite plant down first. And this one was my favorite plant because I grew it myself. And then you can kind of like work around your favorite plant.
Uh-oh. This one looks really dry, but I'm really interested in it. It's like dry on one side, but then like it looks really happy there.
Yeah, so has some new growth. That's good.
Good.
And so yeah, that one, I think because this was so overgrown, it was hard to get this plant out, and so we actually did a decent amount of damage to those roots, but like I said, this is a succulent, and so the succulent can fully handle it, so there's no need to worry.
This is why we're just fumbling along the way and learning.
Yeah.
And how rewarding if I'm able to rejuvenate.
And then Aiyana's taking some of like the dead pieces off too, which is great because when we're replanting a plant, it's trying to use all of its energy possible in order to regrow. And so we want to make sure we're not putting it under more stress trying to revive those dead leaves. So that's why we're taking off those dead leaves.
And making a mess is actually really, really fun. And one of the parts that I really enjoy, I enjoy getting the dirt under my nails and kind of making a mess. There's something that is very, for me personally, I don't know, it just feels really nice not to worry about keeping everything all tidy and perfect and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of like when there's like the mess that's made.
Yeah. And so Aiyana put hers in the soil. She's lightly packing it down with the soil, making sure the soil is covering the roots. You want to make sure, number one, the roots are in the soil, or the root ball, we call it, like right where the trunk meets like the bottom of the plant, like the root system. You want to make sure that is in the soil, so the roots are able to grow into that soil and the water is able to access it. So.
And this looks like it has roots coming out. Are those light green?
Oh yeah, those are air roots.
So there's roots.
There's like different
plants
types of
like
roots.
this, and there's the main roots here.
Yeah.
But then there's like roots coming out kind of near these upper leaves.
And so these roots, I don't know if you can see them very well. Maybe you can show it to them, but
maybe we'll see. I don't know. We'll see if the camera can zoom in, but.
If you can see those roots, there's like kind of like these tiny little green tendrils coming out of the plant, and they're trying to find more soil to live with.
I don't know if you can see that or not.
Anyways, if you look up aerial roots online, you'll see that lots of plants, they use these aerial roots to collect moisture from the air, and eventually they reach the soil, and when they reach the soil, that's just like another way to transport water up the plant. Because that's what the root system's doing. It has to transport water up that plant. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to pick my second one. Maybe I'll go with this guy over here. I'm going to try to get the root system the best I can. So I'm going to kind of dig in there in the soil. I'm going to try to like kind of like shovel it out with my finger. Try to get as many roots.
And it's like pretty stiff. The soil's pretty stiff.
Yeah, I think it's because this is just all the intertwining going on, and okay, so yeah, that came off in one big. I think these may be like connected to each other. They're like the same plant, so I think that's why I'm having a hard time too. Okay, so try my best. This definitely was dry. I'm gonna put it in probably to the right of it a little bit. Okay. And then take some soil. Kind of pack it around. Not too heavy, but not too light either. Alright, cool. So I got my second one. So Aiyana, now you can pick another one you'd like as well.
This is already all.
Yeah, that one's already done, ready to go. And if you're having a hard time, like with Aiyana, she's having a little bit of a hard time getting it in the soil because the root system's kind of big. Like I said, these succulents can handle it, so you can tear off some of those roots and try to make it work however you can.
We took a little bit more soil out too to make more room because it kind
there
of
you go.
full.
Nice.
Okay. Great. So that's number 3, right?
Yeah, but like I said, you can do it however many you like. But I'll go next. Ooh, there's a tiny little pup on this one. So a pup is basically like this plant, this light blue plant you see. This one right here. This one has grown quite big, and it started to grow a tiny little pup. It started to grow a little baby right here. And that's because this plant was given everything that it needed. And when it's given everything that it's needed, it's able to then keep flourishing and support other life too. Maybe there's a metaphor in there somewhere. I don't know.
There is. I'm going to leave that there and just let that simmer.
Yeah. So I got this little pup here. Check it out. I got a good amount of the root system, which I'm happy about. I'm going to put it next to my other plants. Okay. And that one kind of fit in perfectly for me. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Cute. So
I'll put a little bit of our new soil around it just so it can connect with the new soil. Okay.
Cool.
Or do you like what you have?
I think I'm good. So this is what I have. And then water. They seem like I'm feeling like I need water just looking at them.
Yeah, we'll water it soon.
These little ones that were the pulled ones that were hanging out for a long time for 24 hours on the table, and then these 2 from the overgrown Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Let's see what I want now. Maybe I'll do one more because I like what I have, but I feel like I can fit one more. I think this is another pup. And so this pup, I accidentally tore it right off. There's no root system at all on it, but this will be a great example of how we can propagate basically means like plant with no root system left. So I'll probably tear off some of these leaves at the bottom just because I want it to be able to fit in the roots or in the soil. I'll tear off some of these, leaving just this tiny little thing, but let's see if it grows. It probably will, but who knows.
I just got a flashback because there's 2 left in here, so now they have more room, so I can just put more soil in here. But there was all these kind of things that had fallen off, and I'm just having a lot of fun putting my hands in the soil and touching all these and looking at the plants, and it's very calming. And then I remembered that when I was younger, I used to like to take the bark off of trees, and my dad would have to be like, Aiyana, 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 because I'd be so caught up in taking the bark off of trees and just like taking the, like these little dead things off of here reminded me of that. But I don't know, there's just something about touching trees and touching nature and seeing them, and I don't know, it just feels like you can feel their life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, trees definitely need their bark, so I understand
I
where
know.
he was coming from, but at the same time, it is good that you're enjoying your tree bark on your trees. I remember a story. My dad came home one day, and my brother had spray painted polka dots all over our tree in the front yard because he thought it would look really cool. And it did look cool, but I think my dad was not too happy about that one.
This is good. I think all the soil got used.
Yeah, it looks like we had just enough soil. Because every time you start potting, you always somehow end with less soil than what you started with. I don't know how it happens, but I think a lot of it ends up on the table, like this.
What a beautiful mess.
Yes. But I always like to have a little bit more soil just because I feel like it always just goes somewhere. But also, we don't want to waste soil, and that's why you want to pot it a little bit below the rim so you can see the rim here, and then below the rim is where the plants, or where the soil lines start, the soil level. And so that's because every time you water it, you don't want like a big wet mess and soil falling all over the place.
So are we going to water over this?
Yeah, we can water over that so we
Okay.
don't get water all over the place. You want to do yours first?
Sure. So, because these pots have drainage, and why is that important?
So yeah, you'll see like holes. I don't know if you can see the hole at the bottom of this, and that's because plants need air, pretty much. They like the soil needs air, and so when we allow for the water to go through the bottom, we're not waterlogging the soil, because we want water in the soil. But if there's too much water for too long of a time, then that means there's no air in the soil either, and we don't want like a big wet soggy mess in our pots. So you can see the water, maybe you can see the water falling down into our little saucer that we last minute pulled together. And you always want to make sure you fully water your plants, because if all of the roots are nice and wet, or if the whole pot is nice and wet, then that means that the roots are encouraged to keep growing outwards. If you water it just at the very top, the roots never are encouraged to keep growing. They'll just be like, oh, I have enough water here at the top, so why would I keep growing? And we want more roots.
And then you had mentioned something previously about when you just pot things, how much to water it, and like the stress that's happening.
So when we freshly pot new plants, like I said, that root system is under stress, and so we really want to make sure that we are watering as much as we can, pretty much, like at the very beginning, because we want to water to basically help that root system along. We want to make sure that the root system has all the water it needs to keep growing, but as we let the roots establish, those roots will be able to access more water, and they'll be able to hold on to that water longer. So usually I like to, when I first plant, is give it lots of water and a little bit of shade, but you still want it in the sun, just not like fully blasting in the sun all day every day. But then once it establishes, it can handle less water and be like in the sun all day every day, pretty much. So I'll water mine now. So just when you first plant it, just remember lots of water.
Yours went through, the water went through a lot quicker than with mine.
Yeah.
My soil was maybe dry.
Well, sometimes I don't pack it down very much because I encourage a lot of air in my soil. But you pack it down a little bit, it's fine. Soil types are also very important. Soil types are also very important because they encourage drainage, they encourage the water to flow through.
I don't know if I'd be able to see the water droplet on the leaf. There's two. There's a water droplet there and there, but I don't know.
It like
able
looks
to
like a perfect
zoom.
circle. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, like a little planet.
Yeah. Well, plants and leaves and all that stuff are usually what's called hydrophobic, and so they like try to. They don't want like their leaves to be wet too long, and so like what happens is water like basically forms as like a perfect droplet on the leaf because the leaf is like, I don't want you seeping into me and causing rot.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So usually
Boundaries.
Yeah.
They know how to hold their boundaries.
Yeah. Roots need water. Leaves do not need water usually.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe you can take some time to write down, after this, we'll probably take some time to write down what we've observed during this process. Things that, like for me, the thing talking about with the pup, and that a pup was able to grow because the initial, larger one got what it needed, then it was able to grow the new pup. And then also, I think just the impact of touching the soil today for me was, because it's been a very stressful week, and I just feel so much more peaceful after working with all of this. And so just take some time to sit down and write, and that's where like journaling can be. This is a really wonderful prompt for journaling, so that's a whole other thing. But so coming soon, we're going to be talking more about soil and more about growing from seed, because this is the basil
So yeah, we had
that was in previous.
Yeah, we've taken like a little time to inspect the little basil that I've been growing each class, and so it's a little bit taller than the last one if you saw the last video, but I think I planted it a little bit late in the season because these are usually like summertime, like summertime plants. Luckily here in Southern California, we get lots of sun, so it's been holding on. It's been doing okay, but I think I could have planted it a little bit earlier. But that's another nice thing about succulents, is that you can literally plant these things almost any time of year, and they are going to be fine all year round. Maybe in the summer they need a little bit more water, but they'll survive. They'll keep growing in all seasons. So. And
all that you learned about basil just in giving it a go, and then saying, "Oh, okay, I need to plant it a little bit earlier next year, or whatever."
Yeah.
So just doing it is important to just try it, because you'll learn so much more substantially rather than just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But just trying it. So.
Yeah. Well, I take classes at Orange Coast College, and I really enjoy taking classes in their horticulture department. But I have like all this book smarts, it feels like, and I don't always have space to actually grow things myself. And so I really try to make do with the space that I have, and I will do little experiments. So I'm always experimenting with little things like basil, learning new things. Like maybe next year I'll plant it in the springtime versus the like late summer where it won't have as much time to like grow when it likes to. So using your journal to like write down like what you've tried and how you could maybe do it different next time is all a part of the learning process, and we're all learning all the time. So
yeah, perfect segue into, we're going to be sharing the journey of learning and growing and through these classes, and teaching how to continue to do that, and you being able to actually share and enact all the knowledge that you have with being able to eventually grow one's own food and be able to take care of plants and all the benefits for us as human beings as we reconnect with nature and build a relationship with nature.
Yeah, I'm gonna be, next experiment is going to be working with lettuce, so I'm going to be learning how to grow some lettuce too. I asked one of my coworkers, he propagates lots of different vegetables, so he's like my mentor when it comes to this stuff. So
we're excited. We're going to share it with you guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.